Join the conversation by calling in at 476-1045 or tweet into the show at 1045 The Team. It's Big Board Sports with Roger Wyland on 1045 The Team.
Tim Kurkjian, as always, on the Friday show, ESPN baseball analyst, as we partner up with our good friends at the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown. Good morning, Timmy. How are you?
Good, Roger. How you doing?
We are phenomenal. Last night was downright boring for the regional teams of interest in our area. No one was in action. Yankees, Red Sox, and Mets did not play, all back in action tonight, so we'll rev it back up. Yankees go on the 11-game road trip before the All-Star break. Let's start there, Timmy. What do you make of Sonny Gray right now? And I know, if anything, the Yankees are in need of pitching and probably want to add somebody here maybe at the trading deadline. Sonny Gray, we've seen some good, we've seen some not so good, and he's coming off really a not very good at all against the Red Sox. What's your take on Sonny Gray and the Yankee rotation?
Well, it's perplexing, to say the least. He's pretty good on the road. He's pretty bad at home. And I talked to one of the Red Sox the other day because I was with the Yankees Red Sox on Sunday, and I said, what about Sonny Gray? And he just shook his head and said he had nothing. And his curveball just isn't there. And if you remember, Roger, when he first came up with the A's, he had this great overhand curveball, and he seems to have lost that, especially when he's pitching at home. It's possible, and I can't believe this, but it's possible that New York is just too big for him. That certainly happens to some guys. But the bottom line is, I just don't think at this point you can trust him to make a start for a championship caliber team in the postseason. And that's why they're out looking for starting pitching everywhere.
And where do you think that stands, Tim, in terms of like a couple of names that you think the Yankees are locked into?
Well, it's confusing, I must say, but I think they're going and looking at the Jay Happs of the world for Toronto, who's had a very good year. I think they'll look at, Cole Hamels. They'll look at other opportunities. There's going to be a lot of money involved if it's Hamels, let's say, so they'll be careful there. But I just can't see the Yankees when they're this close to being a championship team again, and they need one more starting pitcher. I just don't think they stop until they get what they need. And even though Happ may be at the top of their list right now, I don't see a whole lot of other great options out there. Since so many teams don't have pitching to deal, so many teams in the National League are still in the race, and so many of those American League teams just can't help you, the teams that are out of it. So I would start with Happ and see where it goes from there.
Tim Kurkjian with us here on Big Board Sports, 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio, joins us every Friday morning at 10:30. Tim, one of the good in the Yankee starting rotation has been CC Sabathia. He's 6-3. He's got a 3.02 ERA, and I think a lot of people thought, boy, after last year's 14-5 campaign and then what he did in the postseason, can he really replicate that at 37 years old? He's done that, and I have a larger question for you, though, as to whether or not he can continue it this year. Is Sabathia a Hall of Famer? I know a lot of people, like myself, are trying to adjust our minds to the fact that we may never see another pitcher get to 300 wins, so how do we then account for somebody below that reaching the Hall?
Well, I would say Sabathia is not a Hall of Famer. Now, he's not done yet, so there's always time. But it's a little bit difficult, more difficult now with the way pitching has changed to determine who a Hall of Famer is. I mean, the late Roy Halladay is certainly on that list. Some people will say, it's a slam dunk Hall of Famer. Others will say, no, it's really tricky. And yet Halladay's career kind of similar, to Sabathia's, but I would say Sabathia is just a little bit short, and there are a lot of pitchers that are just a little bit short. Just go back and look at Mike Messina's record, all of his numbers, and compare to Sabathia, and understand that Messina's been on for 6 years and is not in the Hall of Fame yet, not even close, really, and compare to Sabathia, tell me who had a better career, and then that will show you just how difficult it is to get in, certainly as a starting pitcher.
Tim, let me ask you about Gleyber Torres. Obviously a loss with him out of the lineup. What are you hearing about how long he is going to be out, how serious of an injury this is? Obviously a hip flexor. And then Neil Walker looks like he's going to be the guy to step in there for a couple of weeks, and he has not been very good so far. Signed that $4 million contract in spring. What's your take on Torres, the length of how long he'll be out, and then Neil Walker stepping in?
Well, I think it's going to be just soon after the All-Star break that Torres will be ready. Now, no one's sure about this, and hip flexor can be a little bit tricky, but I think I don't sense this is anything serious, and that's great news. And with the with the record that they have and the situation they're in, the best thing to do is to put him on the DL, let him have the entire All-Star break off also, and bring him back that Friday afterwards and hope that he's okay. It's like almost a good 2 weeks, and I think that should do it for him, but we're never quite sure. And Neil Walker is a pro. He can play second base for 2 weeks and not just not hurt you, but help you. So that was the real advantage of signing him, because of that flexibility that he provides.
Tim, if the Mets continue at this pace of losing, and let's say they decide to trade away some pieces and essentially fold up the 2018 season, look ahead to 2019 and beyond, is there any risk that Mickey Callaway could be a one-and-done manager in New York?
I just don't see it. I think he's so highly regarded inside the organization for his intelligence and his look at the game that I don't think he can be a one-and-done, because that would be vastly unfair given all the injuries and the how underproduced guys have been so far this year. I think they hired him because they see a long-term guy, a young guy with some vision, and he fits the mold of what our young managers are today. Bright, able to talk to the media, able to talk to the players. I think he fits most of those boxes. The question is, with the team being so bad, you got to look at the manager first. But no, I don't see this, no matter how poorly they go this year, that Mickey's going to get 1 year and then we'll see you later.
Yeah, I think to use him as the scapegoat would be absolutely wrong, Chris. Yeah. That's a really good point. And Timmy, the only thing I can say is that Alderson's not coming back, right? That's not happening, and we wish him nothing but the best of luck with his health and everything he's got going on away from the baseball field. But whom are they going to hire as a general manager? And sometimes when you bring in a brand new general manager, then they want their own guy. Maybe Mickey Callaway's not that guy. I don't know where they're heading. Timmy, you probably know better. Are they going to go in-house with the GM, one of the guys that's in there running the show right now?
Well, I think they're going to stay in-house until they get a complete view of where they are and what Sandy's going to do next. Sandy has every right to come back, and if Sandy's not ready to come back, then they start to look outside. And yes, if they do go completely outside of the organization, that new GM should then have the ability to say, all right, if I'm coming there, I'm going to bring my own manager with me. As unfair as that may be to Mickey Callaway, that's kind of how it works in the big leagues today. So that's one of many big decisions that the Mets have to make over the next few months.
All right, Timmy, always a pleasure. We appreciate it. I don't know if you heard yet, but apparently Joey Chestnut didn't eat 74, only 64 hot dogs on the 4th of July.
Wait, I thought that they ruled him 64, but he actually ate 74.
No, I think they went the other way.
Oh, really?
I think he only had 64.
They got it wrong?
I think they counted 64, but it was actually 74.
Really?
We'll get our crack research staff on this one. There's been a
recount on this, and the guy who came in second went from 45 to 64.
All right.
So,
yeah. Well,
I'm
going to a charity lunch now, fellas, and I'm going to order a salad.
Chris and I both cannot watch that on we both do television here in Albany, and we both will not put that in our sportscast. I just can't do it.
Well, you are smart guys for that. I can't take it either. It's too much.
Timmy, have a great weekend.
Thanks,
and we'll
Tim.
talk to you this time next week.
Okay, guys. See you.